Thank you once again for this second opportunity. So basically, I won't dive straight into the topic. Definition of acquired vitelliform lesions is a lesion morphologically similar to hereditary vitelliform degeneration or dystrophy. Well circumscribed area of a yellowish subretinal material is seen, detected in patients over 50 years or 40 years of age, and can occur in a variety of macular disorders. It can occur either singly or occasionally multiple in the subfoveal region. So what lies beneath? Let us see. The main basis of my presentation is a paper by Dr. Bailey-Freund and Januzzi, and let's see what they have to say. So they did multimodal imaging, and they looked at the parameters: shape, size, reflectivity, location in relation to the RPE and retinal layers, reflectivity and appearance of the RPE, lesion height, outer nuclear layer thickness, and integrity of the ELM and EZ. So what are the typical features on multimodal imaging in AVL? FAF shows hyperautofluorescence. Near infrared image will show increased reflectance. In the FFA, in the transit phase, there will be a block fluorescence corresponding to the AVL, and in the recirculation phase, there will be hyperfluorescence due to staining. And on OCT, you will see the typical subretinal deposit in the subretinal location with bumps involving the RP band and partial disruption of the EZ depending on the chronicity. What are the associations of AVL? 44% of patients in their study did not have any associations, as also in my own few cases that I've seen, they did not have any other disease, retinal disease. Whereas they had associations like cuticular drusen in 22% and non-universal AMD without cuticular drusen in 21.2%, and a few others of pseudoxanthoma elasticum with injured streaks, VMT, RPD, reticular pseudodrusen, and CSE. Just to show you, this is particularly I'm showing you because we have to differentiate this from CNVM, because on FFA, you will see that starry sky appearance and an FFA that resembles an occult CNV, type 1 CNV. So I think it's very important to distinguish AVLs from CNV on FFA to avert the unnecessary interventions that will follow if you make a misdiagnosis. VMT is another example of association. You can see the band, which is the epiretinal membrane, which is pulling on the fovea and the cystoid spaces that are there, and of course the subretinal collection of AVL. Similarly, the green drusen that the previous speakers were talking about, the reticular pseudodrusen, here also there can be an association with acquired vitelliform lesions. The natural course of AVL, I think with time there is resolution and attendant atrophy, and you can see that over a period of time there is also loss of the IS-OS junction, the loss of ELM, and marked thinning of the outer nuclear layer. There is one more chain that occurs over time, that is the pigment-laden RP cells and macrophages which are within the subretinal space try to migrate into the intraretinal space. So this intraretinal migration is also seen in patients with AVL. The gradual increase in the intraretinal material results in something like a drusen ooze that we have heard of, a corresponding decrease in the subretinal material. So vision is usually well maintained, and most of them, that is most 95% of them maintained between 612 and 636. There is a slow decline in the symptoms, that is vision, and some, of course, there will be improvement with resolution. There can be some improvement in some patients as well, but there is a progressive loss of EZ in most patients, and then the ELM, progressively the ELM, and finally the outer nuclear layer also can get affected by the acquired vitelliform lesions. The greatest linear dimension is also reduced over a period of time once the diagnosis is made. The outer nuclear thickness is also reduced over a period of time. The lesion height can also reduce, because by the time the diagnosis of AVL is made, it is already quite late. So the next course of events will be of resolution. So formation of macular holes is also known to be associated with AVLs. So this is another interesting finding, post-vitrectomy resorption. They found that over a period of 10 months, there was a slow resorption of the AVL material with resultant decrease in vision because of atrophy. Some of our own interesting cases. We had this patient with AVL lesions all over the posterior pole, hyperautofluorescence on FAF, and the typical subretinal material on OCT. The FFA showed typical features of AVL, and the OCT showed the subretinal drusenoid deposits, subretinal vitelliform deposits. So this is the right eye and the left eye of the same patient. So this patient we diagnosed as acquired exudative polymorphous vitelliform maculopathy based on the differentials that are mentioned there, the diagnosis by elimination. Another patient, a young lady with 6/6 N8 vision, near vision was affected, and you can see that there's a halo around the vitelliform lesion in both eyes, hyperautofluorescence on FAF, and the typical, can you see those cysts here? They are actually the degenerative spaces that we see in Mactel. So this is the typical Mactel FFA with hypo here because of the AVL lesion. And this is an example of AVL in Mactel. We also happen to see AVL in a CRVO patient. So this is again a rare thing which is not probably so far reported in the literature. So in summary, it can occur in different clinical entities. They share common imaging characteristics. It is due to accumulation of RP, because of RP dysfunction, there is phagocytosis of this material, both the lipofuscin and the pigment, and they tend to migrate into the overlying neurosensory retina. Over time, they can resolve, and visual acuity is most of the time preserved in these patients. And this distinction, most important, distinction from CNVM has to be done in order to avoid unnecessary interventions. Thank you.